the final scope of virtue. Our journey in Stoic ethics began with the individual prohairesis and expanded to family and friendship. Now we must reach the widest circle of our responsibility, the cosmos. Stoicism is not just a philosophy for the individual, but a political doctrine based on the idea that we are all citizens of the world, members of the Cosmopolis. The virtue of justice, Dikaiosyne, is the pillar that governs our interaction with humanity. It is the application of reason, logos, to society. For the Stoic, there is no separation between personal ethics and civic duty. To be just is the apex of being rational. In this video, we will perform an exhaustive analysis of the concept of cosmopolitanism, which begins with the individual and extends to all rational beings. We will explore how figures like Marcus Aurelius and Cato the Younger lived out justice at the highest level of power. Finally, we will make the crucial contrast between the Stoic vision of universal citizenship and the limited focus of the Greek Polis, Plato and Aristotle, and the fragmentation of modern tribalism. Cosmopolis, the citizenship of the city of the world. Cosmopolitanism is the foundation of Stoic politics. The term, coined by Diogenes of Sinope, though not a Stoic but a precursor, means citizen of the world. The law of the logos. The Cosmopolis is not a political utopia, but a metaphysical reality. It is the city governed by natural law, logos, the universal reason that governs the cosmos. Since all human beings share the logos, reason, we are all inherently members of this single city. Just law is that which harmonizes with natural law, and not with the arbitrary customs of a nation. The great circle of Oikeiôsis. Cosmopolitanism is the logical conclusion of Oikeiôsis, familiarization. If our duty expands from the family to the community, it cannot stop at geographical or cultural borders. Justice requires the Stoic to treat the foreigner, the slave, and the citizen as members of the same rational family, the principle of universal brotherhood. The agent's duty, prosoke attention, must always include the duty to the cosmos. To ask, what does the logos require of me at this moment, is to ask, what does universal justice require? The Stoic must live simultaneously as a citizen of his nation, the small polis, and as a citizen of the world, the cosmopolis, always prioritizing the greater law of reason. Dikaiosyne, the cardinal virtue of justice. Justice, Dikaiosyne, is, alongside wisdom, the most crucial virtue for life in society. It is the result of wisdom applied to our social duties. Stoic definition. Justice is the science of giving everyone what is due to them. But what is due? It is not wealth, pleasure, or fame, indifference, but respect for their rational nature and equal treatment before the logos. Injustice is the ignorance of the inherent value of reason in the other. Justice and Kathēkonta. Justice is the pillar that directs the execution of appropriate duties, Kathēkonta, in the social sphere. A just politician, Kathēkonta, governs for the common good of the cosmopolis. A just merchant, Kathēkonta, acts with honesty, not exploiting the ignorance of the customer. Injustice as vice. Injustice is the only true evil in relationships. Marcus Aurelius stated that what is not good for the hive is not good for the bee. The unjust act destroys the cohesion of the logos at the social level and, more importantly, corrupts the agent's prohairesis, which is the only real evil. The Stoics in power. The responsibility of the politician. Stoicism does not advocate political withdrawal. It advocates virtuous participation. The sage must engage in politics if he can benefit the cosmopolis with his reason, even if it brings personal pain and risk. Cato the Younger. The model of resistance. Cato demonstrated justice and courage, Andrea, by resisting Julius Caesar's tyranny, not out of personal ambition, but out of his duty to the Republic, the greater good. His death was proof that virtue is uncontrollable and superior to external political success. Seneca and service. Seneca, Nero's advisor, faced the dilemma of the court. Although he made mistakes, his work as a philosopher and politician was an effort to use his influence to benefit others, even in a corrupt environment. He taught that public service is the highest of the Kathēkonta. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, the ultimate example. Marcus Aurelius governed the Roman Empire with the virtue of justice, using the dichotomy of control to accept the difficulty and pain of the role, and using prosoche, attention, to ensure that every decree aimed at the well-being of the whole public service as philosophical meditation. Contrast I. Cosmopolitanism versus the classical polis. Stoicism represents a radical break with the classical political thought of Plato and Aristotle, who prioritized the polis, city-state, as the apex of human life. Plato and Aristotle. For these thinkers, the ethical and full life was only possible within the borders of the polis, which was the natural political and moral unit. The barbarian, non-Greek, and the non-citizen were outside the complete scope of civic justice. The good citizen was the one who served his particular city-state. The Stoic revolution. Stoicism destroyed borders. The logos is not restricted to Athens or Rome. Duty is primarily to humanity, the Cosmopolis, and secondarily to the local polis. If duty to the nation conflicts with universal justice, the universal duty must prevail. Stoic cosmopolitanism was the first truly global political theory. The common language. What connects all citizens of the Cosmopolis is not ethnicity or language, but shared reason, logos. Stoicism is a philosophy of radical inclusion based on the equality of rational capacity. Contrast 2. Stoic justice versus nationalism and tribalism. The Stoic vision of justice is the direct philosophical antidote to tribalism, nationalism, and other forms of social exclusion that define modern politics. Tribalism is vice. Tribalism, partisanship, and exaggerated nationalism are forms of passion, pathos, based on the false judgment that the good of my group, my ethnicity, my party, is superior to the good of all rational human beings, the logos. This is a logical error and a failure of Oikeiôsis. The ethics of impartiality. Dikaiosyne requires the Stoic to act with impartiality. A judge cannot be a Stoic and rule in favor of a friend or relative simply because of the bond. The Stoic must seek truth and justice, even if the result benefits an enemy or harms their tribe. Global responsibility. Cosmopolitanism imposes the duty to deal with global problems, social injustice, poverty, conflicts, with the same ethical rigor with which we deal with local problems. Indifference to suffering outside your border is a failure of justice. Living the law of the cosmos. Your individual life, lived with virtue, is your greatest political service to the Cosmopolis. Every act of justice, courage, and wisdom you perform is a contribution to the health of the city of the world. Your duty is to go beyond the circles of utility and pleasure and embrace the responsibility of the widest circle. You are a citizen of the cosmos. Live up to that dignity. If you are ready to embrace the responsibility of universal citizenship and the imperative of justice, leave the comment Cosmopolis below. Subscribe to The Hidden Meaning and use your reason to serve the world.